Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the SPHL. This is the big 1-0. I can't believe you guys have put up with me for this long, 10 episodes. I figured I'd only make it 3 or 4, so I appreciate you guys' support, and I'm going to keep trying to do what I've been doing. And as always, I got a guest this week, a player guest, and he's a Sugarland, Texas native. He's going to be the second guest that we've had from Texas. He's in his third year pro. He spent his previous 2 seasons in the FPHL. He played with the now defunct Danville Dashers in 1920, the Columbus River Dragons last year, and won the Commissioner's Cup with them. And with no further ado, here he is, Seth Ensor of the Pensacola Ice Flyers. Seth, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm good. So little break going on for Christmas right now. So how are you going to spend your time off?
Girlfriend keeps me busy.
Yeah.
I've taken the last 2 days off after the 3-3 in Huntsville and the 3-3 in Quad City the weekend before. Body could use a rest, but I'm probably gonna get back on the ice here tomorrow. But other than that, I mean, I'm just enjoying the cooler weather, the mountains, and hanging out, trying to unwind a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a lot of ice baths in your future as well? Get the muscles back recovered.
Yeah. No, I don't think my ice machine will make enough ice for an ice bath here, but
no, it might take a month, right?
Yeah. So, but when I get back to Pensacola, I'll make sure I'll sit in it for an extra 20.
Yeah, for sure. I've always hated those. Back whenever I've never played, hockey at a real competitive level, but I played football growing up, and I hated the ice bath.
It was, I hated them when I was younger, but the older I get, and the more I start hurting, I'm like, the more I start to love them.
Yeah, that's right.
Relationship.
I hear you. Get all the swelling down, just recovery time. I hear that. So that's cool. So let's jump into it. So I always start these podcasts, man, with like kind of a cheesy question that I think fans are interested in. Nobody sends me messages or comments or gives me feedback on the podcast, so I assume they're okay with the way I've been doing it. But you grew up in Texas, so Texas, I mean, they actually got a pretty good junior hockey teams all over the state. They've got good. They got the AHL stars, the NHL stars, but how does a kid growing up in a very dominant high school football state and college football state, and you got the Cowboys and the Texans, how'd you find hockey and all that?
Well, I actually grew up around the old Houston Aeros, back when they're in the IHL, and then they switched over to the AHL. So my dad's old office was actually next door to the Compact Center where the Aeros used to play.
Oh, nice.
So I used to go over there and go to games with him because we're always looking for something to do. And even though my dad's a big football and baseball guy from Arkansas, he just loves sports in general, and he definitely loves violence. So
yeah,
hockey was, when he found out what hockey was, it was on his radar.
Yeah.
And then I grew up 5 minutes from the Aeros practice facility down in Sugarland.
Oh, nice.
I tried it out. I actually figure skated for a little bit to learn how to skate before I ever decided I was going to play hockey. But as soon as I stepped on the ice, it was all green lights from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much different is how much harder is figure skating compared to throwing on the hockey skates? I know them blades are tiny on figure skates, and I can't skate with them.
I don't even remember what it's like skating with them. I just know I was god awful at it.
Yeah.
my girlfriend's a figure skater growing up, and she does all my edge control, and I'm in hockey skates. She watches me, and she's like, "You have terrible edges." I was like, "Could have seen them on figure skates."
That's awesome. You got her giving it to you. You got guys on the ice giving it to you. You just can't win.
Oh, always.
That's awesome.
I always got somebody chirping in my right ear.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. So you spent you played I want to talk about we kind of talked about it before we came on, but I seen you played a little bit of high school hockey, and that blows my mind that there's actually organized hockey going on in Texas, which I don't know why my mind gets blown from seeing this in states. Hockey's a sport that's kind of taken over the whole country, and people are realizing how great it is. But what was that like playing in high school when everybody else was playing football, or did you play football too?
I tried playing football.
Yeah.
I was too small growing up, but I was a big baseball player, and then after I hurt my shoulder for the first time, hockey was my fun sport, and I was able to play travel hockey as along with high school hockey. So in Texas, the high school hockey is um, more like a recreational, like it's a club sport for the school. It wasn't sanctioned. A lot of those teams had multiple schools pulled together for one team. But when the Arrows were around at one point, we had like 18 high school hockey teams in Texas, or in the Houston area. But it's folded down. I think they only have like 7, maybe 8 now. But Dallas has a bunch of high school hockey. I played
Yeah.
high school hockey in Dallas my sophomore year when I was up playing for the Alliance Bulldogs. Started billeting my sophomore year of high school up there, and they have multiple high school hockey leagues in Dallas, and they've got a lower division, a higher division, and all that jazz. But yeah, high school hockey wasn't a big thing, but hockey got enough notice in the state of Texas to where, there was enough teams to play and make it competitive. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, Phoenix might be moving to Houston or Arizona. I mean, that they might be moving to Houston, so maybe that area will get revamped again. So, I've heard all those rumors, but Bettman says no. He says they're staying in Arizona, even if they have nowhere to play.
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed. We need hockey back in Houston.
I agree. I think Houston would be a good market. So, as long as they quit trying to go back to Atlanta, because it failed twice, it's not going to work there. They need to give Houston or some of these other markets a chance for once.
I agree.
But enough of me getting on my wagon there. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But so you played in the Western what was it, the Western States Hockey League for your juniors. Kind of tell me a little bit about that experience. You had a pretty long junior career going on there, and your numbers from what I've seen looked pretty cool and pretty good and successful.
Well, I started out my senior year of high school. I went out to Boulder to play in the Western States League. It was one of those things where, financially I couldn't afford playing AAA hockey anymore, and it was time to grow up and start, if I wanted to make hockey a future, and I had to make the right moves to go somewhere and where it was affordable and I could still play a decent level. I didn't expect to stay in the Western States for 4 years, but
No.
once you're in the jungle, you kind of get roped into staying in the jungle. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed all 4 years. I had some amazing coaches. It was good development. There's probably some places I could have gone to that would have helped progress my career a little faster, but I had such a good thing going in that league that I just didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, why don't fix it if it's not broke, right?
Exactly.
What tell me a little bit about that league. A lot of people don't even know that league is there exists, really. I guess I should say there's a lot of people are barely learning about these other leagues coming on and around here and developmental leagues. So I mean, kind of just tell my 4 listeners and me and myself about that league.
It's when I was playing in it, it was labeled as a Tier 3 Junior A league, just like the NA3HL. They had I think it was the American West Hockey League, the North Pacific, the EHL, then USPHL. So but the difference between our league was it was more like professional hockey. It was more ran like professional hockey. The rules were pretty much, we kept the rules in sequence with whatever the NHL's rule changes were. You know, there were still fights, the icing rules, so on and so forth. So it was a good league, especially trying to develop into playing in pro hockey. It was a very dirty league, I would say that. There's some scary guys that have run through that league, but you know, one of the best players I played with, my teammate now in Pensacola, and he was my teammate in Columbus, Ivan Bondarenko. He made his mark in that league. You know, there's a lot of good players that come through that league. But it was a different experience than just going to, you know, out east and playing for some organization and doing showcases. You know, you're actually going, traveling, having fans, doing promos, selling tickets, you know, the whole thing that all comes with the professional hockey lifestyle. You know, you're doing that at an early age and learning how to be a pro. So I enjoyed my time in that league. But yeah, those were probably the biggest differences, is they were more professional than the other leagues and that level.
Well, that's cool. So you said it was kind of a dirty league. I mean, does that mean you got a couple of good stories that you can share with us about that league?
Oh man, yeah, I guess you know, you kind of labeled me into always being in the mix and being on somebody's last nerve.
Oh yeah. I didn't tell my 4 listeners. So yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to bring him on the show is because I love a guy that every time I see a scrum, he's involved in it, and he's that guy that I feel like everybody that's not a Pensacola fan does not like, you know. And so I was like, I really like this guy. I like that style of hockey. I like that in your face stuff. So yeah, that's what he's referring to. So but yeah, carry on. Sorry.
So we're playing a 3-3. I was with Boulder Bison. It was in Boulder. We were playing the New Mexico Renegades, and you know, we were just beating the hell out of them. You know, just putting them to work. I think the first game we beat them like 7-1, and then the next night was like 9-0, and we're going into the third game. And our team was an absolute wagon that year too. So we're going into the third game, and there's one kid on their team, just an absolute psychopath. And he was probably about 5'6", and you know, he wanted to fight, but you know, I was a big dog in that organization, so I kept telling him the night before, as like I would, and I'm like, let's do it, and he kind of chickened out. So third game comes around, and we're in warm-ups, and for him to come off the ice on warm-ups, he's got to skate through our zone because the door was down in our corner. So he's skating off, and we're doing a half moon shooting drill at the end of warm-ups. We have this new 16-year-old kid come in. He's first game, and the kid from New Mexico Renegades, just 2 hands on the back of the knee. So I get in his face. I was like, I don't want to get suspended, so we're not doing this now. But as soon as the puck drops, we're doing it. So he gets off the ice, whatnot. Well, rumor has it the kid put on his skate guards and walked across the parking lot to the pro shop next door and bought a wooden stick, didn't even tape it up. And my first shift of the game, I'm cutting across the blue line, and out of nowhere, I see a wooden stick come across my face and just snaps the stick across my face. I'm knocked out on the ice. His gloves go up in the air. I wish I still had the video. His gloves go up in the air. He grabs my head. I'm knocked out. He's throwing, and it was just mayhem after that. But
wow,
yeah, that was it. And you know, the funny thing is nobody in that league was surprised it happened. So
wow,
that gives you an idea of what that league was like.
Wow, that's insane. He went and got a stick specifically to smack across your dome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I guess
After warm-ups.
wow, that's ridiculous. Yeah, so he's probably playing in the Fed somewhere right now. That sounds like
Oh,
some Fed
no.
stuff.
Oh, no. This kid definitely you couldn't skate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the only guy in the Western States hockey history to ever get suspended from the league for life.
Wow. That's crazy. That from that event there was when he got
Yeah.
suspended for
Yeah, it was
life.
from that. Then I think he ended up going over somewhere in one of the USA hockey leagues and playing because we were AAU, so we suspended from AAU hockey, not USA hockey.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I would be shocked if that kid made it out of juniors and was playing somewhere serious.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I mean, you see a lot of smaller guys, trying to make noise and a name for themselves at all levels of hockey, but I don't think I've ever heard one trying to do it that way. So
I'm
that's
usually
crazy.
I'm a pretty big target.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the red hair or what, but
It must be. It must be. So that's crazy. So that was Boulder, Colorado, was it where you were at?
Yes, sir.
So what did you think of that? I actually grew up in that state, so I'm not fond of the city of Boulder, to be honest with you. The people make me angry. But,
So the rink was actually just south of Boulder in Superior, Colorado,
yeah.
and I was living in Louisville.
Okay.
And that's where I went to high school, was at Monarch High School in Louisville, Colorado. So we weren't really in Boulder. We're in like the small town outside of Boulder.
Yeah.
So it was more of the older generation suburb type. But yeah, we were close enough to Denver where we can go to Avs games. It was a great area, beautiful area.
Yeah, it really is nice
I
up there.
definitely miss it.
Yeah, for sure. That so you went to Avs games. I mean, does that mean are you an Avs fan?
Oh no. Oh no,
Oh,
I'm a Flyers fan.
Flyers. Oh wow. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. No, no, sorry, but so they're good. I like the Flyers too. I'm trying to be unbiased about teams, and the older I get, the more I realize that this hatred that I carried, like back in the day, I mean, I did hate the Red Wings because that was just you couldn't be an Avalanche fan and a Red Wing and even appreciate the Red Wings in any way because that was just such a hated rivalry. But when I look at it now, I'm like, that was a great team. I mean, that was a great rivalry. I mean, I can't say, oh, they suck because they didn't, obviously. So,
Oh no, I can't stand the Pittsburgh Penguins still to this day, but
no, you're not allowed to. So you can't. So yeah, the Flyers, they're kind of struggling this year, but we don't need to talk about that.
No, I work for the Nashville Predators as a youth coach in the summers, and so
Nice.
I've kind of jumped on their wagon too, but that's not a wagon you want to be on either.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty good organization, and I mean for what Nashville is and what it's known for, it's awesome to see that arena just fill up every night. I've been to a couple games there in Nashville, and it's not just a country music town like everybody thinks. It's one of the best cities in the country. So, but
yeah, I like it. I've really enjoyed my move here. We actually got here, I think it was last June, and man, I don't have any plans of leaving this place. I think this is gonna be my off-season spot for a long time coming.
Yeah, for sure. And nobody can blame you for that. I mean, if anybody has not been to Nashville, you definitely got to put that on the bucket list because I mean, it's like I said, it's not just a country music town. There's just so much there. It's a great place. So enough of that. So let me talk. Let's talk a little more. Let's talk about you going pro and going to play for Danville. So how did that all come about? Was that a plan all along? Were you or what were your when? Let me. I'm really bad at this. So when you were done with juniors, you couldn't play junior hockey, you couldn't play college hockey anymore. I mean, was the plan always to go pro, or was this just like something that came up?
I always and I didn't know there was professional hockey leagues, however many there were, until I got into junior hockey. And I made a funny tweet. I was like, Well, I think I was like 17. I was like, I'm going to go to the Federal.
Nice.
You know, as the further I got into my junior career, you know, I was like, I'm never going to the Federal. What am I talking about? But, you know, I had plans out of juniors where I was going to try to, you know, either start in the East Coast or SP. And, you know, I had some people over my shoulder telling me, like, hey, look, pro hockey will always be there, but college hockey won't be. And I never planned on going to college. I never planned on playing college hockey. It wasn't my style of hockey. I like the pro game a little more. It's a little more structured. There's a little more responsibility put on the individual player to show up. And it's not as we actually get to wear visors and there's fighting, so there's consequences to your actions. In college, you have that cage or bubble on, and you just put your head down and anything goes. But you know, I had some people in my back seat telling me that I needed to go to college. Mostly my parents and my
it's
junior.
funny. It's funny how parents do that.
So I went, and you know, I always wanted to play pro hockey. And when I went to college, my goal was to do well in college to, you know, get my degree, but it was also to play well, and so I can get into a good professional league. But you know, I went through a series of injuries. You know, I wasn't really by my senior year. After I redshirted my senior year, just flat out wasn't ready. Wasn't in shape. Wasn't ready to play my senior year of college, and I decided I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go pro. But with having 2 years of no hockey to show for it, I didn't have anybody knocking on my door. So you know, the goal was to play professional hockey in the highest league I could. So I actually went to the Birmingham Bulls pre-draft camp, or free agent camp, whatever they're called. I went to that 2 summers in a row. I think one after my junior year, and then one after I graduated. And Jamie Hicks, the coach there, great guy. I used to watch him play when he played for the Houston Aeros in his professional career. But he, you know, he was going to give me a shot in Birmingham, but when it came down closer to the time, the trickle down effect happened. He didn't have any spots for me in training camp, so he found me a spot in Danville. Told me I would have a better chance of making it further in my career as a defenseman than a forward, and had the Danville Dashers coach Ray Tremblay transition me from back into a defensive position and playing defense when I played forward pretty much my entire life, and made a name for myself as a forward my entire life. And you know, COVID happened, started training and got traded, and then this year happened, and I'm finally back to where, you know, I wanted to start my professional career to begin with. And
well, that's cool. That's good. So what was that like? You know, you said you watched Hicks play for the Arrows. What was that like for you showing up to a free agent camp with a guy that you used to watch on the ice playing? I mean, was that kind of unreal?
Yeah, it was almost like a surreal moment. It was, you finally realize, you know, what you watched as a kid and what you wanted to do your entire life. You know, you're in the spot to do it. And it's one of those things, is all that work that you've put in your entire life. That's when it comes true. And that you're like, okay, like I'm actually doing what I said I always wanted to do. You know, I've watched my coach, Rod, down in Pensacola. I've seen him play professional hockey. You know, I've seen all the minor league hockey games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Running around. my whole extended family's from Arkansas, so I've seen I forgot what they were, the Ice Cats or something like that.
Yeah, the ice or something like I actually there's a company called Vintage Hockey that does old defunct hockey teams. I actually got a shirt of that Arkansas team.
Yeah, so I just shaking your coach's hand, because most coaches played minor leagues, right? Just shaking their hand and being in the same locker room as them is one of those like surreal moments where it's like, hey, I'm doing what I've always dreamed of doing.
Yeah.
So no day at the rink is that bad when you have that kind of mindset either.
Yeah, I imagine that's great. That's great. So, when you got to Danville, I mean, the in my opinion, the FPHL is kind of like how you explain the Western Hockey League. It's kind of it's almost like cowboys out there at times.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that experience in Danville for you, like playing in that little? They got a pretty small barn too.
It was exactly how you could imagine it. It is, an old rundown arena. But it was fun. We had a blast. Small town, not much to do. We had a great coach, great locker room. I'm friends with everybody from that team. I don't dislike a single person from that team. I still keep in touch with a good 80-90% of guys that were in that locker room that year. And that's what made it fun, and it made it enjoyable. If we didn't have that, it would probably be one of the most depressing places to play, just because of the weather and everything.
Yeah.
But I made friends around the town. They have a great fan base. The booster club there was great. Everybody up there was great to me. And when I first showed up to that town, I was like sitting there thinking, I was like, where am I? Where is my hockey career taking me? But after a while of being there, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and it was actually more than I could ask for my first year with all the people I've met. So yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, like I said, like you said, it's almost like cowboys on ice sometimes.
Yeah.
Guys, it gets a little chippy, but there's still good hockey players that come out of that league,
Oh, absolutely.
and it was a good place for me to develop as a defenseman before getting into a league like the SPHL, and hopefully the coast is in my future. Without those 2 years in the Federal Hockey League as development, I don't think I would be able to stick here in the league like I am now.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. That's awesome. So, have I should know the answer to this. I'm supposed to be covering the whole league, but have you been back to Danville? Have you guys played the
Oh
Wildcats
no,
this year?
the homecoming is February, I believe. We have
February.
I don't know if it's a 3-3 or just 2 up there, but
Yeah.
I have my old roommate Mitch Atkins is up there. He's playing there. One of my good buddies, Nick Gulo, is playing there. He was on the Danville Dashers team, and their captain Ben Buchel, he was on the Danville Dashers team with me. I actually learned a lot from him as a defenseman, being in my first year. Looks like they've got a good group of guys. They're having a little tough time in the standings, but
Yeah. Well, they were kind of screwed to start the year out. I mean, no head coach, and I mean, it was just kind of a no ice. It was a mess to get going. It seems like they're trying to get things figured out now.
No, but they got Nick Nieder behind the bench now. He's a Federal Hockey League legend and minor league hockey legend in general.
Yeah,
good guy.
Definitely. So
I'm excited for that homecoming.
Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to run your old buddies into the boards a couple of times.
There's no mercy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back in that arena and play exactly like I used to when I was on the home team.
There you go.
They're gonna get the taste of every bit of my playing that they missed.
That's right. The side they didn't they just seen it. They didn't get to feel it. So
Exactly.
that's good. So well, your time in Danville, I mean, you got any good stories you want to talk about there, or do we need to move on to the next venture?
Oh man, there's tons. I actually, I guess my first professional hockey goal in the Federal League, our bus broke down in, I believe it was Columbus, Ohio. We're going out to Watertown, and my coach is, it's his first. He played in the Federal Hockey League. He played for the Dashers, but it's his first year coaching, and it's his first year having the responsibility of everybody, and having to deal with all the stuff that happens. And our bus broke down. He looks at me, and he's Canadian. He doesn't have Uber. So he looks at me and goes, Seth, he goes, wake up. We got to go get vans. Our bus is broken. We're not going to make it to the game. It's like, all right. So I pull up my Uber app, and we're Ubering around this the city of Columbus. I mean, airport to some like storage center or whatever, just Ubering around, just seeing who has like just 15 passenger vans for the guys.
Yeah.
To get up there. So we finally, at our third stop, we finally found some, and it was me, our player assistant coach, and our head coach. Then we got 3 vans, drove them back to the truck stop that was on the west side of Columbus, where all the guys were at, and picked them up, and then drove all the way from Columbus, Ohio, to Watertown. I don't even know how long it was because I was running on like 4 hours of sleep. We pull into the game. The puck dropped 7:05. Warm-ups were at 6:30. We pulled into their rink at 6:35.
Oh shit.
after driving all day and the night before and everything, and I was driving and I'm sitting there like chugging Red Bulls and eating M&Ms, doing whatever I can to wake my body up. I think I had truck stop hot dogs for my pregame meal.
Nice.
I was out there all delusional, and somehow popped in my first goal of my career, and I was just like, and I had my buddy Fred Hine, and he looked at me before the first puck drop, and he goes, "Man, if you can play in this game and get through it, you can do anything in life. Like nobody, if you can do this, you can do anything.
Yeah.
So just get through it." And I got through it for sure. But
I bet you slept like a baby that night.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't waking up for the breakfast call the next morning. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The game was done at breakfast. I looked at my alarm and said, "No, sir.
No, not coming."
No, but yeah, that was one of the craziest things in my hockey career, and those words from my buddy Fred, one of my best friends, they still stick to me to this day. If I can get through that game and do whatever, I can pretty much get through anything. And I still think about that time to time, especially during our back skates. If Rod's a little unhappy with us and we get put on the goal line, that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, hey, if I can get through that trip, that game, then I can definitely get through this practice.
That's right. And you scored a goal in it to cap it all off. So yeah, that's great. That's awesome. It's crazy to think, these kind of things. I mean, a lot of people don't realize what goes on in, I guess bus league hockey, like down here in the SP and the Fed, and people don't realize that stuff like that happens.
Oh,
so it's just
more than you know.
Yeah. So it's just it's crazy. The struggle isn't just for the players. Sometimes the struggle is the equipment getting there and everything. And so, I mean, did you guys end up winning that game too?
I believe we did. I think we won that game 2-1.
Nice.
If I remember correctly.
That's awesome. So the next year you went and played in Columbus during the COVID year, and that team was just a freaking wagon all year long. And so, I mean, there was just You had a ton of SPHL talent coming down there because the ECHL invaded the SPHL, and I mean it was just that trickle down effect, and I mean Columbus somehow Bashard he just got everybody. He said, "No, you guys come play here." So
yeah, I know. They made that trade for me before all the signings and everything. And as soon as we started signing all these SP guys, I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, oh my God, am I going to have a place to play this year?
oh,
I thought the trickle down effect was going to go all the way down. And they called me. They're like, no, like we want you to show up. Like you're on our team. And we went in, we didn't have a training camp. We didn't have, cuts or anything. We went in with the team we had. And I think I was one of maybe 3 guys that didn't have SPHL experience, and we had a good amount of guys that had East Coast experience, and it was a fun team to play for, and there were a lot of good hockey players.
Yeah, definitely. How many teams ended up playing in that league last year?
4.
I don't 4.
So
So that was even worse than the SP with 5. I mean, I imagine you guys absolutely just started hating each other out there. I mean,
oh my gosh.
It's just...
there was a lot of drama going through the league and in between teams, and how some things weren't fair and how other things were fair. But at the end of the day, we were it was either that or let's sit on the couch and not play hockey this year and not get a paycheck.
Exactly.
We were playing when a lot of people weren't, and we were good.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you guys got to play most of your games. What, you played like 4 away games all season?
Yeah, we played 4 away games to start the year, and then everything else was at home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually had I had Mac Jansen on for last week's podcast, and he was a part of that team too. So it was that's great. I mean, what was it like? I mean, I know you said earlier you didn't know if you had a spot, but once you kind of got in the groove, you knew you had a spot. I mean, what was it like playing on that team last year? I mean, just as good as Columbus. It seemed like every time I looked, Columbus was winning, and it was just what's that like for you?
It was awesome. I learned a lot from guys like Jake Schultz, Nate O'Brien, guys that were played in SP, especially on the defensive side. We had a bunch of guys from Roanoke. We had Mac Jansen, Matt O'Day, CJ Stubbs, and we even had Brant Sherwood. He was our assistant coach last year. And,
yeah, I forgot about that.
He taught me a lot. It was a good group of guys to, learn from. And they brought an aspect of the game down to Columbus that, the city of Columbus hasn't seen for a while since they lost their SP team. There's just different ways to go about getting ready for games and practicing and, doing things a little harder and stepping up a little bit. Like Conor Fries, when he came into Columbus, that was the first time I've ever seen somebody actually work that hard in practice, and it was one of those things where I kind of got to learn from all those guys and like, okay, if I actually want to get into the SP, if I want to get out of the Federal Hockey League, this is how I got to play. This is what I got to do. So I was injured for more than 50% of last year, but I was still able to learn from them and, and just being in the locker room and everything. So it was great. I loved last year. I loved every guy on the team. We won a championship together, and I learned a lot from him.
That's awesome. What was it like playing for Bashard?
Oh, he's definitely a player's coach.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure everybody's happy, and he's a great guy. He cares about you, and that's one of the best things you can ask from a coach.
That's cool. You got So this year we'll jump into to you coming on. How did it come about to Pensacola? Did you know you were going to be able to come to the SP this year?
I had no idea. I was making calls. I didn't have an agent. I was trying to reach out, see if there was anybody, if I knew anybody, if I had some networking, and everything was falling through. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, all right, you know what? It's back to Columbus. That's what we got to do, right? So I was gonna head back to Columbus, and then I had a little preseason vacation plan.
Yeah.
Right before I had to show up to training camp Columbus, I was gonna go to South Carolina with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
and what was it? It was mid-September. And I get a call from Rod down in Pensacola, and he goes, "Hey, what's your plans for next year?" And I was like, "I don't have any." He goes, "You want to come to Pensacola?" It's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
It's like, "You sure?" I was like, "Here's my email. Send the contract." Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
So I was grateful. I was grateful for that phone call. Had to cancel my vacation, my little trip, but
Oh, the girlfriend forgive you yet?
yeah, I think she has. I think she came down to visit in Pensacola, and I think she was okay. I can forgive you for this one.
Yeah, yeah. White sandy beaches in wintertime. I mean, who's not gonna like that, right?
Exactly.
So that's great. So what's it been like for you? How you feeling, this year? And I mean, you feeling good out there? You feeling like you're in the place you need to be, or?
Yeah. There's still some kinks in my game. Some stuff I've got to work out and to get better and to be a standalone defenseman in this league. I've gotten into I've calmed down on the penalty minutes a little bit, the late weeks, but I got a bad one on Thursday night that really turned the game around, and I've had to learn my lesson from that. And you go through games, and sometimes the emotions are high, and you got to control them. And that's one of those times where I should have controlled them, and I didn't, and it changed the game for us. But other than that, I feel like I'm skating well. I'm playing well. I'm playing both sides of the puck. Got a good stat line going. I feel good on the ice. But I'm a little snake bit in the goal category.
Yeah.
I got what, like 52 shots and no gold's.
Oh wow.
Although I swear I've had all the chances. I've had all the chances in the world, and I'm just dreading the day that it might have to be an empty netter to be my
Yeah.
first goal.
Hey, if that's what it takes to get the monkey off your back, that's what it takes, man.
Exactly. That monkey is latched on tight.
Yeah.
It's not coming off. Hopefully sometime soon. But
Yeah.
man, plenty of posts, plenty of crossbars. Yeah. But other than that, I feel good. I feel good. I feel like I belong in this league, and I'm gonna try to continue to prove that.
Nice, nice. So I kind of hinted towards, how I view your playing style a little bit earlier. Is that kind of how you kind of wanted to model your game, is to kind of be, I guess, kind of like a Brad Marchand, that guy that's just always in everybody's face, and if something's going on, like I said, whenever I seen you playing at Birmingham, every time I'd see something going on, there's Seth Ensor right there in the middle of it, and I was like, yeah, this guy's always there. So
I would rather model my game after like Brent Burns or
yeah,
a Keith Yandel, but there's some switch in my brain that I just can't turn off, and I can always find myself in that stuff. It's not like I go into the games thinking I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get under their skin. I'm gonna
yeah.
be a rat. I'm gonna piss somebody off today. I don't know what it is. It's just
Yeah.
natural. It just
It's
comes
just
out.
yeah, well, it's all right. Keep doing it, man. I don't want you to change your game. I enjoy it. So I like seeing guys like that out there. So,
I feel it brings a level of entertainment and
yeah.
love-hate relationship with most fans. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I respect every guy I play against. I just
Yeah.
sometimes I get a little too carried away and too wound up.
Yeah, and you can't be friends with the opponents anyways. You can be friends
Exactly.
after the game, but you can't be on the ice. I mean, that's
Exactly.
just all there is to it. So you brought up fans, and so I want to talk about something that happened this past weekend because I seen you got a fan hate club in Huntsville after a hit on Reginato that, that you did, and I mean, do you want to talk about that, or should we
Yeah, I
not?
mean, it was a quick little play. They were beating us. You know, we had a short bench already. Um, we really couldn't afford to have anybody else hurt, and you know, nobody ever wants to go out there and get hurt. And there's a face-off play, and you know, he got me with one of these before. I was going back into the corner to get a puck. I think he pretty much the same exact situation. Going in the corner to get a puck off of a D to D in Pensacola, and he got me a little bit from behind. You know, and my helmet came up, smacked my eye against the ice, blood coming down. Had to go get some stitches. So I've seen that play from him before. And when we were in Huntsville on Friday night, they're beating us, and you know, we went for a D zone face off, go D to D right off the D zone. And I felt him coming, and my D partner yelled at me. He's like, one on, one on. I look over my shoulder. I see him coming full blast, and I just poked the puck, stepped out of the way, and gave him a nice little push. And he went straight into the boards. And I stood over him and told him that karma's going to get you if you try to run around like an idiot. But
Yeah, yeah, the heat of the moment, right?
right. I was standing there, and I was pissed. I was pretty pissed that he tried to throw that hit. But you know, at the end of the day, it happens on the ice. You know, he's a good hockey player. He plays hard. He does the same stuff as me. He throws hits. He gets under skin. You can't be too mad about it when you do it yourself. You know,
Right.
sometimes you got to respect it. But you know, I think I got the better of him that time, and he got the better of me the first time. So
Yeah, so it's even now. So now maybe you guys can just
yeah, maybe we can hug it out.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Maybe. So I mean, I don't know. It seems like you guys play Huntsville every other week, so
Oh man,
so you're
oh
gonna have to see
man.
him some more.
And I think their jerseys are so ugly too. I'm tired of staring at them.
Yeah, yeah, you're just sick of seeing them all the time. I get that. I mean, imagine last year. I mean, well, you were in a league that was playing that way. I mean, it's just the same teams, and now here you guys are. What you guys have played Huntsville 9 times, haven't you already this year? I think that was the number.
I believe you're right.
I
And
mean, that's
if you take them out of our record, we're what 1 or 10-1-1.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So
We're good. We're a good hockey team down in Pensacola. We're young, but we're good. And you know, the only team we can't get past so far this year is Huntsville, and it's really starting to get on my nerves. But the day we finally get past them, it's going to be lights out from there.
yeah, for sure. I mean, but don't worry. I mean, you guys definitely aren't the only ones that can't get past them. So far, only Evansville, and I don't remember who the other team was that beat them. I know Evansville got them in overtime.
I might be Peoria in a shootout.
Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, so you're not alone. Everybody's sick of playing Huntsville. Nobody wants to play them, and they probably all hate their jerseys. So and Huntsville has just been a wagon the last, I don't know, hell, decade probably in the SP. So
It's that gray. It's that gray. It's not even like a nice little gray. It's almost like an off gray. It kind of just looks like the jerseys are old.
yeah, I know exactly the ones you're talking.
Like,
There's no contrast to them. It's just
yeah.
yeah, I got you. I got you. All right, well, really, man, that's about all I got. I think I've almost had you talking for an hour, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're off time. You got what is your schedule? When do you got to go back to practicing with the team?
I fly back here in the end of the week. Got a couple of practices, and then the Sunday game in Birmingham.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun, and maybe I can catch up with you when you're down in Birmingham because I'll be there. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, man. So, like I said, I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. I want you to enjoy your time off, and and definitely have a Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. And I wish you the best of luck. And I'm gonna be watching for you to get a goal. I mean, it's got to come soon, right?
Hopefully that's my Christmas gift this year. We're holding on to it. But yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being on here. It's my pleasure, being asked to come on to this podcast. I love what you're doing here, bringing awareness to the league and covering it on a non-biased standpoint. It's awesome to see.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, have a good one and best of the luck to you the rest of the year, man.
All right. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was Seth Ensor of the Pensacola Ice Flyers. The Ice Flyers, as he kind of led to, they had a rough weekend. They've had a rough year. I mean, they're playing Huntsville a lot, and everybody that's playing Huntsville is just not winning. That's the best way to put it. It's just been rough, and for anybody that's got to go through the Havoc, and it's not rough for the Havoc though. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I think it was great. He was a great guest, and I'm trying to work my way around the league and bring somebody from every team. And so if I haven't gotten to your team yet, don't worry, I'm trying. Some of these teams are a little harder to get a hold of than others, but all the teams in the league are great. They do get back with me. I'm not bashing them by any mean, but yeah, I'm trying to work through every team in the league and go from there. And I'm even working on bringing some people on that aren't in the league but know of the league, have played in the league, and everything in between. So that's enough talking about that. So I don't have anybody coming on to kind of walk through the league with me again this week. I'm looking at bringing somebody on next week. I'm sorry, after the few Christmas games we got going on. So hopefully I can get somebody else to come in here. And it's really my fault I didn't have anybody this week. I dropped the ball on that because I could have, but you guys don't care to hear all that. So let's jump into covering last week's games. Let me pull up my notes here. So we had everybody in the league was active. We started the weekend week off with Fayetteville and Macon. That's what we're going to lead off at. And Fayetteville they won that one 5-2. Fayetteville had a great weekend, and they Tanner Fries and Shane Bednard. It was their first game back on Thursday night after coming off of IR, and boy, does Fayetteville like having those guys back. We'll get into some stats in a little bit, but those guys made a huge impact right off the bat. So in that game, though, on Thursday night, there wasn't a lot of scoring going on. No scoring in the first, and then all of a sudden, 25 seconds into the second period, the marksman jumped out to a 1-0 lead, and both Bednard and Fries assisted on that. So first game back, both of them got a point right off the bat. And it was Alex Renaud that got the goal. And I apologize, Alex, if I said that wrong. You probably aren't listening to this podcast anyways, but your fans are, and they might take offense to that. But moving on. So there was 5 total goals in the second between the two teams. I mean, no scoring in the first, and the second was just a goal frenzy. So Fayetteville ended up taking a lead 3-2 in that one into the third, and then Tanner Fries scored 42 seconds into the third, and then Bednard got his goal late power play goal, sealing the deal, and it was all she wrote for Macon. And that was the beginning of Fayetteville's road trip down to. This is the second time they've done a road trip playing Macon and Birmingham, so Fayetteville did go on in Friday and Saturday night to play the Bulls, and the Bulls, if you guys didn't know and didn't hear, they have had a vacant assistant coach position all season long. They haven't had any help for Simchuk, and really into last year, it's kind of been off and on. They've kind of it's just been a void that needed filled, and they brought on Kevin Kerr, who was the coach of the Macon Mayhem. He left before the season started for some personal issues. I have no idea what that was. I'm not even going to get into it, but he left the Mayhem, but now he's back in the league. He is the associate head coach for the Birmingham Bulls, and this was his first game back. And mind you, he played for the Birmingham Bulls back in their ECHL days. He played one season. He made a big impact. I could tell when they announced his name whenever they were doing the intros on Friday night, everybody was just ecstatic. I mean, Birmingham fans remember him playing. If there's one thing I can promise you about the fans in Birmingham is they love their hockey. They know their hockey history, and whenever somebody that used to be a Bull comes back, it's the greatest, and they really appreciate that. And when he came back, it was there was a sense that night that you kind of feel it. You could feel the arena, the vibe in the arena. And I don't say vibe; that's a stupid word. The the energy in the arena was different. Both players and fans, you just kind of got a different feeling. And Fayetteville didn't care. They had no concern. They didn't care who Kevin Kerr was, why he was coming back. They had no care for his history, and in Birmingham, and they went out and they ended up winning that one 2-0. But that game was that was a very good game for Birmingham. They kept things close. They kept them close, and they just couldn't buy a goal. Kolzicki missed a wide open net a couple times. Mike Davis hit the crossbar 2 or 3 times, and just they could not buy a goal in that game. They outshot Fayetteville. It was just crazy. And then it kind of sucks for the Bulls to see the way the goal that they lost to. I mean, it was 2-0. The second goal was an empty netter, so we're not even that's nothing to talk about. But the goal that they lost on was a breakaway, and I don't even know how it got in the net. Like I was watching it, and I don't even know how it got in the net. It was just one of those dirty goals, but those are the goals you need to get to win games like that. And Fayetteville took care of business. They did it. And so they got that one. They got, so Fayetteville 2-0 on the weekend. Birmingham starting off the weekend not so good. The next night comes up Saturday night, and it wasn't the same. Fayetteville came out looking really good, and not to say they didn't look good the night before, but Fayetteville looked really good, and they were really controlling play. And Birmingham, the passes weren't crisp, or I don't know, that's not the right word, but the passes were missing the tape on the sticks, and again we were seeing some missed opportunities and this, that, and the other thing. But Fayetteville just they went in and they were not going to lose that game. They got that one 3-1. Birmingham did get a goal and brought it within one goal, but it just never. You could kind of tell Fayetteville was just really controlling the play. And when Fayetteville has a lead, Fayetteville has a tendency to just lock things down and not give you anything. We've seen it a couple of times against various different teams in the league, and they are really good at just locking things down. And just once they got it, and that's what they did the night previous. And so Fayetteville had a great weekend. So Fries and Bednard, let me see what I wrote their stats down. So they ended up, oh, come on, where did I put this? Sorry, people. I apologize to my 4 listeners. There we go. So Bednard finished the weekend with a goal and assist, and Fries had 3 goals and 2 assists. And I mean, that's just ridiculous. They hadn't played in a while. I mean, they came off the injured reserve, and they just had a great weekend. So at the end of the weekend, so Fayetteville's sitting 4th in the standings. They are 2 points behind Knoxville, and the Bulls stayed in 9th. They got 10 points still, and they're 11 points out of the 8th and final playoff spot right now. So if the playoffs were to start right now, the Bulls are not in it. They're not even close to being in it. But Fayetteville's good. They're sitting up there in 4th. They're trending up, and like I said, right now you're seeing teams trending up, you're seeing teams trending down, and you're seeing some teams do the same thing they've done all year long. So we'll move on from that. Let's go on to Macon. So Macon was supposed to play Knoxville twice. They were supposed to play Knoxville on Friday night, and Knoxville had to postpone the game because of ice conditions. That's the second time this season we've seen a game get postponed for ice conditions. But they got everything resolved. They were able to get back at it on Saturday night, and so Macon traveled up there, and Macon didn't come out of that one in a very good spot. Knoxville, coming off of a weekend sweep before to Peoria, they were on a mission to come out there. Jimmy Peretta got called up to the ECHL, and he was just an absolute dominant goaltender. And a lot of people were thinking maybe that was why they were losing to Peoria. It wasn't. It's just Peoria just just got it. Peoria is kind of looking right now, and we'll talk more about Peoria later, but Peoria is looking a little bit like Huntsville. They're getting the bounces to go their way, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Fayetteville, or I don't even know what we're talking about. We're talking about Macon and Knoxville. So in that one, Macon got out to a 2-0 lead, and you're sitting there thinking, Knoxville's still not. They got that hangover from from the Peoria loss. Well, midway through the second, Knoxville went off on a scoring tangent. They scored 4 goals in 4 minutes, and they took the lead. And then Macon scored with a little over 5 minutes to go in the third to bring it back within 1. And then Andrew Ballant, he answered back for Knoxville, and that pretty much just sealed the deal. Macon pulled the goaltender late, and Waxen Ingback, who's just been on a roll scoring goals. He got the hat trick against Birmingham a few weeks back. I'm bad with time frames, but anyways, he got that, and so he got an empty netter. That was his second goal of the night, actually. And Macon ends up staying 10th in the standings with 7 points, 3 back of the Bulls and 1 ahead of Vermilion County. And Knoxville is sitting in third with 30 points. They are 5 back of Quad City, who's sitting in second right now. So Knoxville, they're not out of it. Obviously, I mean, Knoxville's playing good. They had a rough weekend before. They bounced back. They handled business in the one game they had. I don't have a date when that game that they were supposed to play is going to be rescheduled yet, but I'll definitely get that out there to everybody as soon as it comes to. And if you want to get some of this news that's coming out throughout the week, I mean, just make sure you follow me on Twitter at FPH Bulls. I do cover the Bulls. I do live tweet Bulls games, but I also tweet about the rest of the league throughout the week. I will, player transactions and things that come up. I try to keep trying to keep everybody involved, but come game night, you're probably just want to mute me on Twitter, because everything I got, unless your team's playing the Bulls, but everything I got on game night is going to be Bulls related. I'll try to throw a few things in here and there. I think I tweeted about J.M. Pietrowski's hat trick a couple weeks back during that game, but during the week, I try to I want to keep everybody up to date. I want to do you guys a good job. I want you guys to come to me for information. That's kind of cocky. I'm sorry. Go wherever you want for information. I'm going to shut up now. We're going to go back to talking hockey. So next up, Huntsville versus Peoria. Thursday night, Huntsville versus Pensacola, not Peoria. I just had the guy on too. How did I screw that up? So anyways, Thursday night, Huntsville got a 5-2 win. Friday night, they got a 4-1 win. And then Saturday, a 4-3 win in OT. So Pensacola did come out of the weekend with 1 point out of a possible 6. Huntsville came out of the weekend, obviously, with 6. And that's not what everybody in the league wanted to see, because Huntsville's just, each week it seems like they get a little further away from everybody. That's a lie, because they were only 1 point ahead of Quad City last week. But anyway, so Thursday night, the Ice Flyers actually had a 2-0 lead until just halfway into the second, when Rob Dare scored for the Havoc, and then Cy Nukovic got one, tied it all up, and all of a sudden they were tied going into the third. Huntsville scored 3 more in the third to make that 5 unanswered. And that was all she wrote, 5-2. Pensacola just couldn't catch back up. That's one thing. Huntsville can score some goals, and they can score a lot of them. And I mean, who knows better than Pensacola, right? So Friday night, Piacentini got a goal and put the Havoc up 1-0 real fast in the first. And then Jessica scored late in the period for Pensacola to send the teams into the locker room all tied up. And then in the second, there wasn't a whole lot of room to be had by either team. And it was just nothing. No scoring, not a whole lot going on. And then in the to start the third, Jacob Barber he got tired of the tie. Jacob Barber is out there scoring goals like a maniac in the league. He's just taken the league by storm this year. And 12 seconds in, he's like, yeah, we're done with this tie. And then 41 seconds later, Newdecker gets another, and it's 3-1 all of a sudden. And Newdecker got another one late in the period and the Havoc just handled business once again. And that was the game that also we referred to with the little Reginato and Seth Ensor incident. And so you got to hear Ensor's side of the story. So I know, and I'm not telling you guys who to like. You don't have to like him. You can hate him, but at least you got to hear his side of the story. I really appreciated him doing that, because I know a lot of guys don't really feel the need to talk about what's going on in the league right now. And I respect that. So yeah, with Ice Flyers end up having one more shot at getting 2 points on Saturday night. And Huntsville went into this one in the period. They were up 3-1. And I think Pensacola had enough. They were like, look, we know this team. We play this team all the time. And they ended up tying it up in the third, thanks to goals from Brandon Tucker and Matt Rupert, and sent this one into overtime. But once again, Pensacola, they win games in overtime. Or not Pensacola. I am really bad today. Huntsville, who has been really good at sealing the deal in overtime if it goes that way. Matthew Newcomb didn't wait too long. A minute 12 into the extra period, he scored and gave the Havoc their fifth in a row. So the Havoc are, after dropping a couple games, they're back on their wagon. And like I said earlier, the Ice Flyers didn't come out of it with a total loss. Excuse me there. I can hit the mute button whenever I have a guest on, but that's tough to do when it's just me. But yeah, Pensacola, obviously, they're not happy with the outcome, but they're sitting at fifth in the league right now. They got 23 points. They're just 1 point ahead right now of Peoria, who I mentioned is kind of surging. They're 5 back of Fayetteville in fourth place. And like Ensor had mentioned before, if they didn't have Huntsville, they really haven't been losing a lot of games. But I don't know. Pensacola is really getting things going. I remember early in the season, a lot of people were trashing the team. They're like, oh, there's nothing but a bunch of FPHL talent on that team. They're not going to be anything. Well, they're not doing too bad. So give them a break. They lost to Huntsville. Everybody loses to Huntsville. So moving on. We're going to go to one of the more exciting series of the weekend, Evansville and Roanoke. Both of the games were in Roanoke. Friday night, Roanoke got it 3-2, and then Roanoke got the shutout Saturday night. And this series is kind of the story of two teams going in different directions right now. So you remember Evansville? They were up top of the league. They were contending for one of the top 2 spots in the league early on, and they've kind of fallen off here lately. And Roanoke was down at the bottom of the league, and they're kind of trending up. They've been winning a lot of games. So I wrote this down so that I get it right. So Oh, and I do need to mention also, Evansville did have their goaltender called up to the ECHL right before this weekend started. So that was probably something they weren't planning on. But hell, this is the SPHL. You should always be planning on your guys. If they're playing well, they're probably going to go to the coast. So there's that. But so Roanoke has went 4-2 in December after starting the season 0-6. They have went 8-4. So they've been playing better than 500 after not winning the game in their first 6. So that's good. Evansville started the season 6-1, and since they went 5-8. But I mean, during this time frame, they did hand the Havoc a loss. So I mean, this team is good, and they can beat the best in the league right now. So I'm not telling anybody in Evansville to be scared. I'm just saying that this was a story of two teams going in different directions in the month of December, and Roanoke got the best of them. So let's talk about the game. So Friday night, Roanoke had a 3-0 lead early in the second, and things started getting really physical, and penalties they were just handing them out. They were just, you get a penalty, everybody gets a penalty. So it was rough, and the Thunderbolts ended up getting 2 goals in 2 minutes, about 2 minutes apart, to come back in that game late in the period. But the story of this game, and really, I don't know, probably not the weekend. I might be trying to make too big of a deal of it. But late in the second, there was about 1:10 left to go, and this is where things got out of hand. And I hate to say out of hand, because if you go back and watch the video, it really wasn't out of hand. It was just a bunch of guys talking. But it all started when Ninadal ran an Evansville player, and I didn't catch the number. I'm sorry. I should have it for you. That's my job, right? But oh well, you guys will get over it. I already have. So he ran him into the net, and that really didn't sit well. It never sits well with guys when they get ran into the net. So, a bunch of chirping going on, blah blah blah. They set up on the face-off circle, and the Roanoke feed was doing the replay. And when they came off the replay, next thing you know, there's gloves and sticks on the ice everywhere. But and it wasn't even Ninadal. It was Chris Vella and Scott Kirkton of Evansville. Chris Vella is the Roanoke guy. They dropped him, and Chris Vella got the better of this one. You're gonna have to check this one out. I think the fight's on YouTube. I might try to find it, and I'll throw it out on Twitter. And so everybody can watch it. But Vella landed some big time rights, and Curtin did not fare so well. He went down to the ice quick. But that wasn't it. It was a fight. There's always fights after stuff like that. I mean, people are pissed, blah, blah, blah. So those guys are going to the box, and all of a sudden there's just other stuff going on towards the bench. Don't know what people were saying, don't know what was going on, but what I do know is Charlie Pelnick left the Roanoke bench, and he was having words with the Evansville players. Evanoke is what I almost said. Anyways, Evansville players. And he had words, and then let me make sure I get the first name right. McLean, he came off the bench for Torrey McLean. He came off the bench from Evansville. But the refs didn't catch that. They didn't see it. And if you look at the video, the Evansville bench is pulling, they're jabbing at him in a stick, trying to get him to come back. And it worked because the refs didn't see it. But the league did after the game. But anyways, Pelnick got tossed. He was gone. He was out. He got a 10 and a 5. Or let's see, Ninadal got a 10 and a 5. Pelnick got tossed. Curtin got a 5 for fighting. Nothing happened to McLean until the next day. That was whenever the suspensions were dropped. So McLean got 3 games for leaving the bench. Pelnick got 2. The reason I've seen a lot of people kind of confused about this. The reason it happened was because McLean was still playing in that game. It was late in the second period. So, and Pelnick was not. So they're counting that pretty much as one of his games since it came in the second period. And so that's kind of how it equals out. I know if you do math and you add up the time on ice and blah, 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 that's not right. But that's the way that it goes. That's what we're looking at there. That is why it was handed that way. So that was it. So it set us up for a Saturday night matchup. So Saturday night, you're thinking it's probably going to get out of hand. These two teams hate each other. They've played each other a decent bit now, and they've had a rough night before. And Roanoke got that one 3-2. So you're just really looking, and I'm gonna tell you, Roanoke is a scrappy team. You need to watch them if you don't, because they are a very scrappy physical team. And so they got going, and Roanoke just ended up there wasn't a lot going on that night. There was a Cameron Cook got a 10-minute misconduct after he went to the box for, I don't remember what, it was a roughing call early on. And he got out of the box early because Roanoke scored on the power play. I don't know what he said, but whatever he said, he got a 10-minute misconduct for it. I think it was language, gesture. I don't know. It was something. Anyways, they gave him 10. He was out for 10. And Roanoke added one more goal in the first, and then Mac Jansen and Jeff Jones scored for the rail yard dogs, and in the second, and that was the end of the scoring. The third was boring, and they ended up winning 4-0. So Roanoke was able to get within 1 point in the standings of Evansville, who, I mean, this is who's in 7th. Roanoke's in the 8th and final playoff spot, and Evansville's in 7th. And now that these games meant something because Roanoke gained ground. They did what they needed to do, and it's going to be fun to see that battle. It's always fun to watch the battles in the standings, especially when the teams are playing each other. It's boring if the teams don't get to play each other. But we're going to move on. Quad City and Peoria, Friday night. Peoria won 3-2 in the shootout. Pietrowski and McPherson scored in the first. McPherson got his 34 seconds in, and Pietrowski, he's caught fire as of late. I'm not saying it's because he came on my podcast, but I'm saying it's because he came on my podcast, So he's got 7 goals this season so far. He had that hat trick. He's just every time you look at a Peoria score sheet, he's on it in one way or another. Assists, goals, just doing his thing. So it's really cool to see a guy like that really coming into his own this year after a couple of years that I don't want to say he struggled, but the numbers weren't really high. But he's a great player, just like everybody is in the league. So. Anyways, let me quit pumping his tires for a minute. So there's no score in an OT. This one went to the shootout. So Hageman, who I think scores in the shootout every single time there's a shootout, which he's good at it, I guess. I know you guys probably hate him unless you're Peoria fans, but get over it. So Godbout also scored for Peoria, and only Conor Fries was able to net one for Quad City. And Four out of Peoria's last 6 games have been decided in extra time, and 3 of those games were in the shootout. And it's crazy to think Peoria is there. They're playing a lot of hockey right now, but they're coming back. So let's stay on Peoria for a minute. Let's and throw Vermilion County in the mix, because that's what happened the next night on Saturday night. Vermilion County traveled to Peoria, and it did not go well for I got to slow down my talking. Did not go well for Vermilion County. They lost 6-1. The Bobcats, they're struggling to find offense in some games, and then some games they find it, but they couldn't find it all. And it was 3-0 heading into the third period, and then Peoria scored 3 more goals in the first 6 minutes before Houston Wilson was finally able to get a goal for the Bobcats, but too little, too late, and that was it. And so that was the last game of the weekend for Peoria, who got all 4 points out of the weekend, and they are definitely one of those teams that's trending up. I remember talking about how they were struggling early on, and now it's looking good. So they're on a 4-game winning streak. They are currently tied for 6th in the league with Evansville, which means they are also only 1 point ahead of Roanoke, but and they're only 1 point behind the Ice Flyers. And like I said, Peoria, they're trending up. So they're doing what a lot of people thought they'd do. Peoria is the king of the regular season in the SPHL these last few years, but Huntsville's looking for that crown now. But the next night, Quad City was back at it, and it was against Vermilion County. This one was a Sunday matinee in Moline at the Tax Slayer Center. It was a very exciting game. So the Bobcats went into the second period with a 2-1 lead, and it was you're thinking, hey, they found themselves, so that's great. So Quad City, though, they tied it up about 4 minutes into the second, and then Borshev scored for Vermilion County, giving them the lead back. So you're like, out of way, boys, you got some fight in you. But Quad City, Quad City number 2 in the league, they're not afraid of a 1 goal trailing by 1 goal. So it was then Quad City got another goal 20 seconds later, late in the period, or they scored 2 goals. 2 goals. Don't put both your hands up. 2 goals in about 20 seconds, and they went into the third period with a 4-3 lead. And but the Bobcats were determined. They came out, and this was a Bobcats team. I haven't seen them play like this a lot this year. They were not, they'd fall behind, and after having that lead, they didn't care. They came back in. They tied things up, and within 5 minutes in the third period, and it was locked up at 4, all 4 goals apiece. And then they were both teams were playing hard, trying to get that next goal. They were playing back and forth, hardcore hockey, and then it went to overtime. Nobody was able to pull it off. So Vermilion County, they got another point in the standings, and so did Quad City, of course. But it didn't take long for Tommy Cios to score. It was just about 2 minutes, 1 minute 53 seconds in. He scored for the Storm, and it was game over for the Bobcats. So the Bobcats came out of the weekend with 1 point, and Quad City came out of the weekend with 2 points. They lost a little bit of ground on Huntsville. Heading into the weekend, they were only 1 point back of them, and now they are 4 points back of Huntsville, and Huntsville does have a game in hand on them. So it's we'll see where things go. Quad City, they're rolling along. They've had a little rough patch here in December. I think everybody's ready for a little bit of a Christmas break, and not just Seth Ensor. So there's that, and we'll see how teams bounce back. So we do have some games on the week of Christmas. So we got one Thursday night before Christmas, and it's Fayetteville and Roanoke, two teams that have played each other quite a bit, and that should be a fun one because both teams are pretty physical. And like I said, Fayetteville can shut teams down, and Roanoke's showing that they can score a lot of goals, and it didn't look like that early on. And so we got that on Thursday night, and then Roanoke. Roanoke is the only team with 2 games this weekend. So we got 4 games on the schedule for Sunday, the day after Christmas, or for my Canadian friends out there, Boxing Day. And that's going to be Roanoke going to Knoxville, and that should be a good one. You know, Knoxville's kind of they were struggling, and they had a great weekend. And you know, Roanoke coming off a sweep. We'll see what they're coming off of when they play Fayetteville. If they can give one to Fayetteville with the way they're rolling along. And then Quad City is going to go to Evansville, and that should be a great one. We'll see. Like I said, Quad City's kind of had their struggles, but they are putting some wins together. Evansville's kind of trending in the wrong direction, so this might be a big bounce back game. And I know all you Evansville fans all you want for Christmas is an Evansville win. So maybe they can offer you that. So next up, we got Vermilion County is going to play Peoria in Peoria, and the Bobcats did beat Peoria this year. So I mean, you can say Peoria's trending up, like I said, but VC, why can't I say Vermilion? So they do got a win against them. So that was their first ever franchise win. So they can always hang that over their head. But so that should be a good game. Peoria, like I said, they're finding their way. The Bobcats, they're showing signs. You know, they gotta be more consistent. But you know, they're showing that they can score multiple goals in games now. They just gotta put together a full weekend, and things will start going their way. And then next up, we got Macon traveling to Huntsville. So Macon, they're struggling right now. Huntsville not struggling, and so we'll see what goes on up there. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Huntsville is probably gonna win this one. So Huntsville fans, if they end up losing, I did not jinx it. I do not have that power. Don't blame me. But I feel like Huntsville's probably going to win this one, unless they get too full from Christmas dinner. Maybe they ate too much ham. I don't know. Candy canes. Who knows? Anyways, that's dumb. Let's quit talking like that. So the last set of games, or last game for the weekend, is Birmingham and Pensacola. And like I said, Birmingham's got their new associate head coach. They're looking to get a win under him. They're on a 5-game slide. Pensacola looking to get a win. You know, they dropped all 3 against Huntsville. Pensacola's had luck against Birmingham this year, like many teams across the league have, but it is always fun to see these 2 teams play. Last year, it was a blast to watch these 2 teams play. I don't know. I mean, it's all different players. I mean, there's a few players still on the Bulls that were on the team last year, but it just still seems like they hate each other, and it should be fun, good hockey. And that is it for the weekend. As we near the midway point of the season, there's a lot of teams, or there's some teams up there that are looking good. There's some teams up there that if they can't straighten things out, Macon, Birmingham, Vermilion County, not to say any names, but if they can't get things straightened out here pretty soon, they're going to be on the outside looking in come into the season, because other teams are making moves and going in the right direction, but you never know. You never know in any professional sports how any of this is going to work out in the end. But that is enough me jabbering on. Thank you all for listening. I do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, subscribe, please. If you're watching it on YouTube, give me a like. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. Just show me you watched it. That's what I want to see. And if you have any comments, if you want me to talk about something different, if you want anything, say anything. I will read every comment that people will put out there, because I am here for you. And that is all I have. So I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I will talk to you all next week. Until next time.